Now we're heading up to 9 minutes to 6 o'clock. You're listening to Home Run on CBC Radio 1. A class action lawsuit against Air Canada has been given the green light by a Quebec Superior Court judge today. It could benefit people with disabilities all across Canada. Home Run's Mark Apollonia has been following this story, and he joins me in studio. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Sue.
So tell us about this class action suit. What exactly is involved?
Okay, what happened was that back in 2009, the federal body, the Canadian Transportation Agency, ruled in response to a number of complaints that were leveled at Air Canada, Air Canada's kind of sub-airline Jazz and WestJet, that people with significant disabilities, people in wheelchairs who needed assistance to fly for all kinds of reasons, to get them off the plane, to take care of them when they're on the plane, that those people were being obliged to pay for their assistance. And the Canadian Transportation Agency ruled that that should not be the case, that they should not have to pay for a seat for those assistants. Those assistants should be able to fly free because it's a necessity for these individuals to get around. And so that was made a policy of these airlines. And so now this lawyer from Quebec City, David Bourgoin, he's the lead lawyer. He's opened this class action suit to say, okay, retroactively, up until 2009, all these people paid for their assistance to fly. We want you to give them their money back. And a judge just today, here in the province of Quebec, a Superior Court judge said, okay, you can go ahead with this class action suit. So Bourgoin is going to be looking for, this is what it's at right now, this could always change, $1,500 in moral and punitive damages for all of the plaintiffs involved. We don't know how many that is right now. We have to wait to see how many people with disabilities say, okay, I was subjected to that unfair procedure in the past, plus the reimbursement of their ticket costs. So now notices are going to be going out across the country in newspapers, online and that kind of thing, to get people to come out and join this class action suit. And Bourgoin says that the results of this will come out probably in 1.5 to 2 years.
Okay, so interesting, that 2009. So I'm curious what this means for people with disabilities who need assistance to fly.
Sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
I spoke with Laurence Parent. She's in a wheelchair. She's an activist for people with disabilities, and she's probably eligible, just the target population, to join into this class action lawsuit. She did indeed travel in the country with an assistant prior to 2009, and she says it's a good thing, but there's still a big problem. She's a PhD student. She's studying the history of exclusion of people with disabilities here in Montreal, and she says, yeah, that covers domestic flights, that rule that says assistants fly free, but not international flights. She's got to pay for assistance. She flies, she says, up to 3 times a year. It's necessary, for her career and for all of her academic involvements. And the fact that she needs to pay for assistant means that she has to forego certain trips abroad.
I've applied for a conference in New Delhi, in India. It's a conference on mobility of people with disabilities and issues of transit, and it's the subject of my dissertation, and also it's my passion here in Montreal. But the ticket is really expensive to go to India, and I really need to go with someone because of my disability. I need assistance. So right now I'm not sure if I will be able to go there.
Laurence Parent there again, Sue. She says she often has to borrow money as well if she wants to go on these trips, which is putting her in debt, but she sees it as the only way to follow what is her chosen career path.
So what does Air Canada have to say?
I contacted Air Canada. They would not give me an interview, but they directed me to the website where they have a form which says that travelers within Canada, it's now free, no charge for an attendant. But for other travel, I'm reading here now, for other travel within North America, the attendant may be able to travel on a reduced fare. I asked Laurence Parent if she'd ever received a reduced fare for her assistant, and she found out about that rule just before she left on a trip to San Francisco, and this is what she said.
The last time when I asked, the discount was ridiculous. It was not even a discount. For a trip to San Francisco, I think that the ticket was like $700, and they told me that they could not go below this amount of money. So basically I had to pay 2 tickets full price.
So as far as her experience goes, this reduced fare that Air Canada says they'll offer people is sort of bogus. She's never benefited from it. And she says in the past 4 years, she's paid out of pocket $3,000 just for the tickets for her assistants to come with her when she goes abroad.
It's curious, though, because I know the Canadian Transportation Authority has ruled that Air Canada and WestJet have to allow assistance for travelers with disabilities to fly free domestically. So I'm curious why that couldn't be applied on international flights.
That's, Sue, because I spoke with Jacqueline Bannister of the Canadian Transport Authority, and she says it's driven by complaints. The complaints were made against domestic flyers, and they don't have the mandate to go abroad and start enforcing these rules on international flyers. David Bourgoin, who is the lawyer who's leading this class action lawsuit, said, yeah, that would be a very tough thing to do. It would put the Canadian flyers at a competitive disadvantage because they'd be losing money on this. It would apply, it would apply only to Canadian carriers abroad. What would happen when they are flying with people from other countries? What would happen for foreign carriers when they're in Canada? It would just become a morass of legal problems. He says Air Canada right now is saying that they're paying $7 million a year to fly these assistants free, and that it's going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that it's not put at a competitive disadvantage against foreign flyers. Bourgoin says the rule that forces Canada and WestJet to give the free seats is a good first step. He says it's going to be very difficult to move that into an international law, but he says it's not a foregone conclusion.
Right now, I think it's a great, it's an important step to succeed in Canada domestically. Just that, I think it's a big step, like I said. But it's not impossible that we can try the same thing for international transporters or for international flights.
And Sue, Laurence Parent agrees. She says the next step, the next fight will be to get free seats for assistance of people with disabilities worldwide.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Mark.
My pleasure.
That is Home Run's Mark Apollonio. And of course, I'd love to hear from you on this. You can text me